Everybody, welcome to Goots' Wrestling Pod. It's episode 3. We're here live with Andrew Lee. Andrew Lee, how you feeling, brother?
Sorry about that. I'm feeling good. How about you, man? Excellent. Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Well, yeah, we're recording this on Sunday. This is coming out Friday, so it won't be Martin Luther King Day anymore when this comes out.
Yeah. Junkyard Dog. Man, he was on the show tonight. Is that a WrestleMania show or is this a
Junkyard. I'm trying to see if I can keep this going. Wear a shirt with someone that's on the card every single episode.
Did you do that the past two ones?
In episode 1 I didn't, but episode 2 I had a Ric Flair shirt on. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I'm trying to see if it can be different all the time. Well, we're gonna see, but right now I'm wearing a Junkyard Dog shirt, and I got my dog on my lap. So, really quick, I feel like this is gonna be out of date by the time we publish this episode. But Vince and the Saudis, what do you think?
No, it already came out. That's not happening.
No, I know, but there could be another development during the week.
Oh, dude, I don't. These people, these fucking wrestling dirt sheet guys, like, I don't even care what he speculated is. I think anything is possible. I just hope he doesn't sell it to Tony Khan. Not that I think Tony Khan would do a bad job, but it's just like we don't need one guy controlling all the wrestling. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
As long as it's not sold to Tony Khan's family, I'm okay.
Me too. And as long as it's not Jim Crockett's family, I'm okay with it.
Nah, they could do it.
You saw Starrcade '84. They can't do it.
You take Otis and Gable, assassin number 1 and assassin number 2. There you go. Boom.
You know what? Just you can have MJF become assassin number 3. There you go.
Yeah.
It's a good career path for him. So, guys, today we're talking about WrestleMania 1. It went down in March 1985 here in New York City. I'm so glad that I watched Starrcade '83 and Starrcade '84 before this because man. You want to compare the production to like WrestleMania 38 and this one, but between Starrcade '84 and this, it's night and day, brother. It's like
what the fuck happened, dude? I'm like,
what?
So I have never watched these old Starrcades before. I did it. This was the first time I watched it. So when you hear all these stories about Starrcade and all that, you just kind of like
assume it's really good show.
All these old timers and how good it is and shit. And we're watching it. I'm like, man, most of this shit sucked. And I'm thinking it's probably because it's from like long time ago. So if I watched it now, I feel like it doesn't relate. So I'm thinking that WrestleMania is gonna be the same exact thing. Starrcade, I'm gonna put you guys into perspective of what this is like. Starrcade '84 was on November 22nd, 1984. WrestleMania 1 was on March 31st, 1985. That's a 4-month difference.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were like 40 years apart. Right? It was so like just the difference in quality in every aspect is just ridiculous. I'm so glad NWA went out of business.
You know what? And maybe Starrcade '85. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to '85, '86. But people like to make excuses. Oh, Vince stole all the competition. Vince went to places he wasn't supposed to go to. Vince this, Vince that, Vince this. No, Vince just put on a quality show.
Yes.
That's why he beat you, and they never will admit that. They'll never admit it. The Dave Meltzers, they'll never admit that Vince just put on a good quality show from the moment he took over for his dad. And
quality in almost every regard.
Yes.
Almost every regard. Dude, we start the show with an actual fucking intro graphic, right? Like a graphic. If you look at it now, you'd be like, it's shitty graphics, but trust me, it's
after Starrcade.
This is where you have to go like, oh, it's 1985. Right?
Yeah, and no one's done this before.
Yeah, and the fact that they actually...
Or no, someone did it, and they did it badly twice, and now here's another guy.
Yeah, this is like they actually do a graphics, and it's like they go over every matchup with the graphics. There's music. You get Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura, who are the commentators, to introduce you.
By the way, did you notice how nervous Jesse is the entire show?
Wow, I couldn't... You know who looked nervous was Lord Alfred Hayes.
Lord Alfred Hayes was about to shoot his pants.
Yeah.
But Jesse too. I think he wasn't. He doesn't sound nervous. The camera's not on him, but when the camera's on him, he looks like he's about to have a stroke. Like
Oh,
he's like, what is going? But Gorilla and Mean Gene were like fucking already like professionals. They were like,
dude,
whatever. Let's just
Gorilla's like fucking hair. I was like, this motherfucker had hair back then.
yeah.
Like, he had like a fro, like a little half fro.
Oh, so
Um,
real quick, the original WrestleMania theme is "Easy Lover" by Phil Collins, and Vince talks over it, and they edit that out because they don't have the rights to Easy Lover, or they don't want to pay Phil Collins for the network. So, but Vince does talk. So Vince is in this WrestleMania talking over the. He's like WrestleMania, Junkyard Dog versus Greg Valentine. But
oh, you mean that
he,
intro graphics that actually is talking over it?
yes, but the song in the background is "Easy Lover" by Phil Collins.
Oh,
Easy Lover.
oh, so
Du-du-du.
yeah. When you watch it on Peacock, guys, you're gonna see the
It's just some
graphic
weird
with some
music.
generic music, but there's nothing, no explanation of anything. Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura, they obviously they introduced WrestleMania. They kick it to Howard Finkel, and Howard Finkel's in the ring, and he's with Mean Gene, and he goes, Mean Gene's gonna sing the national anthem, and I was like, oh my god! And you know what? This motherfucker can sing. He was
Yeah,
the
he didn't do such a bad job. Yeah.
he actually I thought was better than that guy who sang it at the fucking first Starrcade.
Oh, that guy's like a real singer too. Yeah.
But Gene has like a deep voice and he hit all the notes and he got everybody singing along. It was great. I fucking loved it, you know?
By the way, did you notice in the front row? Like, I never really paid attention to the people in the stands, but now I'm going to as we go forward. But did you notice like everybody in the front row kind of looks like a Jewish businessman? Like they all look like some type of business type
No, I
people,
didn't notice that. I'm gonna have to watch that
agents
part.
and managers. The people further back are all like Latino and black and like I don't know Peruvian, but the guys in front are all in suits. They all look like New York business people, and I'm like, bro, there's such a difference. I hate this. I hate to be like this. Like I hate to be a typical New Yorker. It makes a difference when you produce something in New York. It really does. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those of you guys wondering, this is taking place in Madison Square Garden, and the
Mm-hmm.
first two Starcades, they're at the
In
Greensboro
Greensboro, North
Coliseum in North
Carolina.
Carolina.
I
So
do want to visit Greensboro one day because that's such like a famous wrestling city. I kind of, but I never hear about Greensboro unless it's wrestling related.
yeah,
Like no one ever goes like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna go do comedy in Greensboro," or "I have a cousin in Greensboro." It's always like Ric Flair going on how he sold out the fucking arena in Greensboro.
Yeah. It's if you hear these other places like Dallas, like when
Yeah.
like there's other things in Dallas. When you hear about the Tokyo Dome, you also know they play fucking baseball games there and shit like that, right? But
Mhm.
Greensboro Coliseum, all that shit. There's the only time
Yeah,
I've ever heard of
I
that.
wanna go see what's going on in Greensboro. They should have like a statue of Ric Flair because he's the only reason why people ever talk about that fucking town.
Yeah, exactly. He put that. Let's be honest, Ric Flair, he did put that place on the map.
Yeah, he
Like,
never shuts up about it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, they say Gorilla Monsoon says that Lord Alfred Hayes is gonna be like kind of like their interviewer. He's gonna
He,
be like or something,
he's
but
like
he's
the
gonna be
WrestleMania host. He's like the host.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's gonna be in the dressing room, which what he was not. He was actually like standing
In the
like
entranceway.
in the entrance of the
Yeah.
tunnel, right? So he's not actually in the dressing room. So you see the wrestlers like the executioner walking by him to go, start entering the arena. Um, and his eyes are just darting all over the place. He's just like Alfred Hayes looks so nervous. His eyes just darting everywhere.
I feel like between every take, Vince was just screaming at
He calmed the fuck down as it was progressing,
him. Mm-hmm.
but the first one he looked fucking nervous, dude. He could not make eye contact with the camera. He was so nervous, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I feel like he's about to have a panic attack. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, he looked like a little like the one like a little kid's doing one of his like kindergarten play like performances, and he's just like not making eye contact with anybody. So basically, what Alfred Hay he introduces the matches, and he's gonna kick. He goes, "There's pre-recorded promos basically we did for each match." So you got Mean Gene. He's talking with Tito Santana. Tito Santana took a decent promo. Like, hey, I've never heard of you, Executioner, but I'm just gonna beat you up and stuff like that. Like this is where you don't know Major League Executioner, and then Mean Gene's with the Executioner, who is a masked Buddy Rose, a thinner Buddy Rose too. I did not think that was Buddy Rose. I was like, that can't be Buddy Rose. He was much thinner. And then he goes like,
The worst outfit I've ever seen. The
yeah,
Executioner.
he goes like, I don't know, man. Worse than the fucking Fat Assassin, or
Yeah,
what Jimmy Valiant fucking wears, long johns.
I mean, yeah. Well, compared to what everyone else is wearing, because everybody else looks like a fucking $1,000,000, and he looks like they dragged him from the NWA and
Yeah,
told
yeah,
him.
yeah. He looked like Odie's outfit. Yeah, he looked like they
I
dragged
feel
him
like
from
the
the
reason why they dressed him like an idiot and beat him in the first match was kind of be like, okay, that's style of wrestling. You're not gonna now everyone else is gonna look like a superstar. You know what I mean? Like we're getting rid of
Maybe.
that goofy
Maybe it's
shit.
like a little jab at the NWA or
Yeah,
Starrcade.
I've never seen another. I know Buddy Rose has wrestled. I've never seen it. I should look it up. I've never seen another match with the Executioner before this or after this.
Yeah,
I almost
yeah,
feel like they dressed him up like that. Like the more I think after watching those two fucking shows, they dressed him up like that to make fun of like old because he's like the first guy that walks out and they just beat the shit out of him, and then everybody else, even Matt Bourne, who's kind of like the second biggest loser on the show, he becomes Doink though. He also kind of looks like a star. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so Executioner in his promo basically says, you don't say, I don't know Major League, I'm going to go for your fucking leg. And you know what? He fucking does. The
Yeah.
first match is Tito Santana versus Executioner. And they have no entrances. They're already in the ring. Tito looks like a fucking $1,000,000. Um, and Executioner, this is basically pretty much like an enhancement match, but Executioner
He
does
does
work
get
on
offense
Tito's
execution.
leg. And his selling is pretty good. Buddy Rose, I always
Yeah,
enjoyed Buddy
people
Rose.
say Buddy Rose is very underrated.
Yeah, yeah, he's very underrated. Anyways, Tito Santana hits the flying forearm, which looked beautiful, by the way. That thing looks great. Like if somebody did that move today, it would look really good still.
Yeah.
And then he puts on the figure four for the win. The commentators make sure to know that the figure four he is putting out a notice to the Intercontinental Champion Greg the Hammer Valentine, which
Yes,
is
that's his
with
move.
this win they're trying to further things along. It was fucking excellent, you know. It was great call by Jesse Ventura. I thought Jesse Ventura was great on commentary. What do you think about this match, Brad?
It was a good opening match for WrestleMania. I mean, it's one of them. I really hope like WrestleMania 40 they should give Tito Santana a plaque for having like the first WrestleMania match. I mean, you I mean I know he's in the Hall of Fame and stuff, but I feel like now like this many years later you got to get something for being the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
By the way,
this
this
is
is the last WrestleMania match he wins. He never wins another WrestleMania match.
yeah, and the crowd was into this. They were really behind
Well,
Tito.
Tito Santana was pretty over. I mean, he was like I think we forget because Vince wants you to forget how over he was, but he was kind of like second or third babyface. Because Andre the Giant was kind of part time like Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
But like yeah, he was pretty over. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you call it? So Lord Alfred Hayes introduces the next match and he throws it to Gene, and it is Special Delivery Jones. I have actually never heard SD Jones promo, and let me tell you what, it was short, but it was like a good promo. It was better than some of the shit that I was hearing from Starrcade.
I had a special delivery Jones action figure for the LJNs when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, I never heard his promo, and this was like the guy could talk. Like, you know, he was just like, you know, like and then Gene interviews
King Kong
what do
Bundy.
you call it? King Kong Bundy with Jimmy Hart. And this was the moment where I was like, God damn, this motherfucking Mean Gene. He is fucking on point. He fucking sells King Kong Bundy. Like he sees when he goes, oh, this mountain of a man. Like he like looks up like he's shocked. And then when he does the five, like Mean Gene holds up his fucking five as well. Like, dude, Mean Gene was like, this guy should have been a salesman. You know,
He
like he
was a
could
salesman.
sell. Oh, he was? What did he
Yeah, he
sell?
was. He worked in sales, and then he went full time for Vince. But when he was with Vern Gagne, he had his own advertising agency.
This guy, he sold like every fucking wrestler.
Yeah, yeah.
And he, like, not only the wrestlers, he sold what they were talking about or what they were doing. And this, like, the way he just, like, just that, like, this mountain of a man, and like the shock that like, oh crap, I forget like SD's like eye level for me. This guy is not eye level for me. And let me tell you, King Kong Bundy was fucking fat.
But
Dude,
he's like he is big, but the way they dress him up makes him look impressive.
yeah, because he almost looks like
Looks like
his
a giant
head.
egg.
His head just goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, giant egg. It just goes straight down. It's like
It just, but the way they presented him, he didn't just look like some fat pig. He looked like the Kingpin. You know how they say the Kingpin's all muscle? That's
yeah.
what he looked like, bro.
Yes. You know what?
He's the
If
closest to the Kingpin we're ever gonna get. And he's
if
dead.
King Kong Bundy was around now, right?
I would make him the
I
Kingpin.
bet you he would have cast him as the Kingpin. He's perfect
Yeah.
for it. You know?
Yeah, he's the Kingpin, basically.
Yeah. By the way, so this is match number 2, Special Delivery Jones versus King Kong Bundy. Special Delivery Jones, SD Jones, he is over with this crowd. When they introduced him, he get a fucking
Well,
big pop.
he was a bigger deal before Hogan showed up. Yeah.
Yeah, and then King Kong Bundy fucking just like gets him in a bear hug, throws him into the fucking corner, fucking hits the avalanche, and then a fucking body splash for the win. Let me tell you, they say it's a 9-second. It was a 9-second match record victory, and it's gonna be holding for a while. I heard it's not officially 9 seconds if you really count it, but that's what they're saying. It's 9 seconds. After the match, SD is still selling. He's just laying there like he's like, I think he's like, my ribs are broken and shit. I know some people don't like squash matches, but let me tell you something. This was a really, really good squash match.
This is all you needed. Like there was so
Yeah.
much more. There was so much more on the card. You didn't need King Kong Bundy to do 20 minutes with SG Jones. People would have been falling
Yes.
asleep.
And SD sold it so well. Like when he got put in that bear hug, when he was thrown into the fucking corner, the way he reacted, nothing looked hokey. It all looked like he was legit shocked this guy was hitting him so hard and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know if Vince already knew that he was going to go with King Kong Bundy in the main event of Part 2, WrestleMania 2.
I
But
think so.
this is a way. This match was perfect because it was fast and quick, and you like oh, I got to keep my eye out on King Kong Bundy. This guy could be a real threat to Hulk Hogan down the road, Which he did wind up being a threat for a little bit, but it was like a really good way because he had just got hired. I think it was a really good way to establish him as like a superstar.
The crowd was taken by surprise as well. Because they were not expecting a 9-second squash like this either. And they were like, when they saw what was happening, they were just like in shock. They were like, oh, in awe of him. It really established King Kong Bundy, I thought. This is
how you get someone over instantly as a big deal.
This is the art of squash matches. Squash matches, if you do it right, it's very beautiful in how it's done. And this is where I disagree.
First time anyone ever called King Kong Bundy beautiful. Hey, bro.
Yeah, but this is exactly. I didn't call him beautiful either.
You're like, oh, but the beautiful King Kong Bundy squash.
Yeah. But this is where I actually, this is why I don't like star rating matches, because not every fucking match should be a fucking hour, 30-minute fucking strong style thing. This should have been a 5-star match.
What this match did was, if you ordered WrestleMania 1 and you're like, oh, like King Kong Bundy, a year later when they're like King Kong Bundy to wrestle Hulk Hogan, you're like, oh fuck, Hogan might lose. Like I gotta watch this,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Great match. Yeah. Match number 3, we got Mean Gene. He's interviewing Matt Bourne, who's gonna go on to be Doink. This motherfucker got a lot of fucking chest and stuff here. But yeah, Matt Bourne, and his hair is shitty. I would say that. But other than that, he cut the good promo. Yeah. He's like, Ricky Steamboat, I respect you. I know you're good. But you know what? You're too nice. That's your problem. You're too nice. And then and I was like, that's great. That's like exactly. He goes, that's why I'm gonna beat you, because you're too nice. I'm not. Then they go to Ricky Steamboat. And let me tell you something about Ricky Steamboat. When we were watching Starrcade, he looks so goddamn out of place. Yeah. Right? It looks like, did you ever watch that movie Little Giants?
Yeah.
Remember like that one kid, Butch or whatever, that guy, he's like put into like the loser Little Giants team,
Mm-hmm.
and then because he's on the wrong team, and then he's like this monster guy with these little shrimps.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like what Ricky Steamboat was like. He fits perfectly into WB.
Yeah, I know.
Fits perfectly. He like everybody looks kind of like it. They're all muscular.
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen like, dude, even so far up to this point, like I'm trying to think, did we see any fucking slobs? And Buddy Rose didn't even look like a slob like NWA.
Well, because
And
he
King
was.
Kong Bundy is like that's the kind of slob you want, like a monster slob.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
there was nobody who had skinny arms and a fucking beer gut like they would have
yeah.
fucking on Starrcade.
Yeah.
You know, but Ricky cut the good promo. I'll tell you one thing I didn't like about these Mean Gene promos. It was the revolving promos they were doing.
You mean
Where
like what? Because like yeah, because like it was the other guy's just standing there listening to the other guy shit.
yeah. So the Mean Gene's standing here. He's talking to Matt Bourne, and Matt Bourne's just talking shit about Ricky. He walks away, and Ricky Steamboat comes in right away, and it's like, Ricky, you hear this guy taking shit about you? Like,
What I
like
would and they did it. They did this with the Tito one, but then they never do it again. Is they should have dissolved and then came back in.
yeah,
Like
they
it was a
didn't do
later
that.
time.
Yeah. So it makes you think they're on two different interviews.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
for most of these, they do this revolving where they just and I that's the one thing that's the legit only one of the only complaints I had about the show. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna go to match number 3. Matt Bourne versus Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat hits the flying cross body for the win. What did you think about match number 3?
I thought it was good. You know, it's so funny because like you could tell, like nowadays we have there's known as the WWE style, and there's like
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn how to wrestle WWE style, and you could tell Ricky Steamboat toned a lot down. Like I think he knew I'm just the undercard on this show, and
Yes.
he still had a great match, but he wasn't going balls to the walls like he was doing at Starrcade '84, and his style was different than it was in the two Starrcades. And I don't know if they already had a WWE or WWF style, but he wasn't wrestling like he was wrestling in NWA. But I think he understood like I'm not the attraction tonight.
Yeah. And this was a good short match.
Yeah.
So far 3 matches in, and I'm not like waiting to shoot myself in the head. I'm just like I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah, it's yeah, no, it's moving fast, but yeah, but all the matches are getting right when you're about to get sick of the Ricky Steamboat Tito Santana matches, they end. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is by the way, speaking of fast, this is the Starrcades were about 3 hours. This WrestleMania is a 2 hour, 15 minute show.
Yeah,
Fucking flies by.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they're
uh,
not like that. There's no more WrestleManias like that after this. So,
yeah, that's true. So Lord Alfred Hayes, remember, he's standing by the entranceway and he's doing more intros. It's really funny because now the wrestlers who are walking by him are like saying shit to him as they're walking by him.
well, yeah. Now they realize like I can fuck with this guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
and
they were told to fuck with him.
it starts getting funny. Where I think that's also helps him kind of relax a little bit more. But that's where it gets good. So Gene is with David San Martino and Bruno San Martino, and he's interviewing them, and then he interviews Brutus the Barber Beefcake with Johnny Valentine, who does not let not Johnny Valentine, Johnny Valiant,
Johnny Valentine is Greg Valentine's dad.
yeah, who got paralyzed from that.
And he wasn't here yet.
Um, But Johnny Valentine doesn't let Beefcake speak at all. And that's a gimmick. Go to match number 4. Beefcake versus uh, David San Martino. By the way, when they introduce Brutus Beefcakes, they say parts unknown. That's the second time they use parts unknown in this card. First for the Executioner and then Beefcake. I wish they would bring that back. I wish there was a wrestler who'd be introduced with like from parts unknown. I love that.
Well, they should do that with Uncle Howdy.
Yeah, it should. So the San Martinos get an entrance, but with no music. I mean, like when they call their name, they start coming to the ring. Huge pop for Bruno.
Bruno was still over. Vince, and he kind of stopped doing it now. But Vince, once he decided you're old, you were old. Like he kind of wanted, and you can almost see the commentary acting like Bruno was like 97 years old or something. But the audience, like, you could tell the audience still wanted to see Bruno Sammartino. They weren't done with him yet.
Well, if you listen to Bruno Sammartino's interviews, the reason why he didn't go back to he hated WB for a while was because Vince was kind of like dangling a carrot over him. Like
Yeah.
Bruno didn't want to wrestle, but he was like, "Oh, well, if you wrestle, I'll help get your son over and shit." So he had to get
Well,
involved a lot
I
more.
got news for you. Nothing was gonna get this guy over.
I know exactly, but it's his son. So when he's hearing like Bruno, the point is this: Bruno didn't want to wrestle, but
Mhm.
Vince Jr. was saying to him, "If you wrestle, it'll help you get your son." So Vince was pushing him to wrestle. So
Because
he would
Vince
get
knew
him,
he still
yeah.
had drawing
So
power.
so he would get involved
Mhm.
more, and that would actually piss off David because he would feel like his father was taking the spotlight. So
What they should have done is, and I don't know why they didn't do it because in real life David hate. I don't know if he still hates him.
no, they
Hate,
barely had to. But this is why they didn't. That's part of the reason why
but
they
if they
clashed.
had built like WrestleMania 3, David versus Bruno, I think people would have went ballistic for that. And imagine if David retired Bruno, that would have got him over as like a top heel.
Mhm.
But
But
here's the problem with all that. David Sammartino fucking stinks.
well, yeah. I mean, by the way, go back to this. This is why Bruno did not like Vince for a long time because he felt like Vince, like he was like, dude, I never wanted to wrestle to begin with. This motherfucker caused my problems with my son. But yeah, I mean, bless
This
the
was the worst match
parents.
on the show.
Yeah, bless the parents because parents they cannot see their children's faults, right? But we sure can. So
Yeah.
match number 4, Beefcakes versus David Sammartino. By the way, Brutus Beefcake looks like a motherfucking superstar here.
Yes, he
He is
does.
got a great tan. He's fucking tall. He's got
I
a
didn't realize
great
how tall he
build.
was until I watched this show. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's fucking
his
tall, bro.
his tights look modern, like look great for that time. 'Cause everyone's wearing just plain tights. He's wearing like purple, and he's got these like arm things, and like even Gino Gorilla Monsoon goes like, just back in my day, I wouldn't even know where I could get tights like that. Like he looked like a like if you watch the other guys like Tito Santana and stuff, they just have like plain one color tights. This guy had like long boys with like purple and he just looked great. He looked
He
amazing.
already was like getting his look that he was gonna have the rest of his career. Like he
Yeah,
already
yeah,
was
it looked fantastic.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, they take forever to start wrestling. They're just doing a lot of taking a lot of powders, talking to their seconds, and Jesse Ventura goes, "It's ring psychology." It's like he's playing a psychological
Yeah,
game.
they're
He's
trying to
trying to,
psych each other out. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, this is some good fucking commentary, right? Like, this is like, dude. Here's another thing too. I get it. Gordon Soley was a great commentator, and Bob Cottle, short or great. But it was like you had two guys who sounded the same, who were agreeing on everything, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of boring. And so there was a lot of times where they go like, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why we're doing this. Like they were like confused.
Yeah, they do that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah.
not
I
supposed
don't
to say
know.
that
I
on
don't
a
know why they do that.
broadcast unless like, yeah. They don't do that in WrestleMania. There's never like, why did that guy do
No,
that? There's always a
exactly.
reason.
There's never a moment of like, why did they do that? And actually, in this, I think in this one, when they were doing Taking It Forever, Gorilla Monsoon goes, oh, they're taking a while to get in the ring, and that's where Jesse goes, that's ring psychology, Gino. Like you got to suck your, and then like, so that's right. There was no moment where they're going like, I don't know what's going on, and you know what? Here's the thing: if you're a commentator, your job is to fucking put over the product. Doesn't matter. I don't care if you believe it or not. Do you think every fucking salesman believes in what they're fucking selling? They don't. That's not the point. You're supposed to sell it to the customers so that they actually buy it, whether you believe it or not. When you're commentating, you go, I don't know why he did that. I don't know what's going on. That makes me think that this is fucking stupid. If you don't even understand, then how the fuck am I supposed to?
How am I
These
yeah.
guys, the way they explained it, it was just like it made me feel like, yeah, I get it. That's
You
true.
know
That's
what
true.
this whole WrestleMania felt like? It felt like the first step. Even though like there's WWE programming has been on for like 20 years, 30 years before this, whatever. It felt like the first episode. It felt like we know you don't know any of these guys. We're gonna tell you who they are. and we're going to tell you why you need to keep watching. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And that's really important because I'm sure there were a lot of first time viewers.
There
But
probably
people were there to
there
see
probably
Mr.
were
T
a
and
lot of
Cindy
first
Lauper.
timers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You know what? Starrcade, there were probably a lot of first timers, and they were probably like, I don't need to watch this again. I'm
Yeah.
sure
Well,
some people were
they
like,
didn't
I don't need to
explain
watch this.
anything. They're just like, they
Yeah.
just acted like, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
one thing about this
they
first
really do a good
WrestleMania,
job of like, we're going to tell you why you should care about every single person that you see,
except for David San
except for David Sartini.
yeah, you're right. This is like WrestleMania definitely gave me the feeling of like I want more. Absolutely at the end of the show. Anyway, going back to this match, it's not a terrible match, but it's slow.
It's the worst match on the
Ultimately,
show, but it's not the worst. It would probably be pretty decent if it was on Starrcade '84. So.
yeah, if it was on Starrcade, it would be pretty decent. Um, basically, everyone they attack Bruno. No, wait, Johnny Valiant attacks David, so Bruno gets involved. Everybody gets involved. It's a DQ.
And people
The
go ballistic with Bruno.
people go ballistic when Bruno gets involved.
Yeah.
He looks, by this point, Bruno looks like an old man because he is an old man.
Mhm.
And the crowd does not give a fuck that an old man is beating up Beefcake. They
They
love
don't
it.
give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
They could have if Hogan quit, they could have handed Bruno the title at the end of the show. The place there would have been like people partying in the streets.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
they downplay it, but Bruno was fucking over in New York. And they really like it's weird how WWE kind of like downplays him and they downplay their own history sometimes. And it's like, dude, that guy was fucking over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was a fucking he was the a huge draw, but they always want to focus on fucking Harley Race and Ric Flair. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. This match was way too long. I would have cut
It was
it
way
by,
too long.
yeah, I would have cut it by 5 minutes. David San
You know what
Martino.
people like to say Brutus is a bad worker. I don't put this match being shitty on Brutus. I put it on David because
Yeah.
David does not have it, and Brutus has something. I don't think Brutus is as a better worker as everybody says. I think people like because he's Hogan's like best friend, they give him shit. But Brutus was still very new. He couldn't carry this kid, you know?
He David San Martino also had a weird body. He was like
Yeah, he has like a
he was muscular but really chubby
yeah.
and short.
You could tell he was like steroid, like he was on the steroids. You can really tell the way his body looked.
Yeah, yeah.
He's probably like supposed to be like a fat little Italian guy, like Mamma Mia.
Yeah, yeah. His yeah, like I said, this wasn't a bad match, but it's the worst match on this card. And that's
Yes,
yeah, like I said, if it was on Starrcade, brother, it would have been
you're
like
like, oh yeah, that David
four star
Sammartino's going
classic.
someplace.
Yeah. They'll be talking about today in the fucking David San Martino DVD, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Gene interviews Greg the Hammer Valentine and Jimmy Hart, and then Junkyard Dog. Man, these these promos are good too. Like they're like every single person who's giving a promo, they're short and they're to the point. Like
Yes,
you know, like
but they're getting over their character.
yeah, yeah. Like I feel like there were a couple of times, like even like when they were interviewing like Ric Flair and stuff, it was just like they're just like talking like just like going on and on, right? But I just like the short like all right, this is what I'm gonna fucking do, and you're like JYD, oh, like just like stuff like that. It's perfect, you know. It's so this is the first I think title match that's on the card. It is
Yeah,
for the
the first title match of
Intercontinental
3 title
Championship.
matches.
Yeah, Greg the Hammer Valentine, the champion, versus Junkyard Dog, who gets his own music entrance.
Well, so they had to edit this out, but in the original broadcast, he comes out to Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Basically what happens is the match is happening and it's Junkyard Dog just like basic shit, and then Jimmy Hart gets on the apron and Junkyard Dog goes to confront him. Greg the Hammer Time goes after him, try to hit him from behind. JYD moves out of the way. He hits fucking Jimmy Hart. The crowd starts going crazy. JYD starts fucking boom, boom, hitting him, and people are going crazy. Greg, the Hammer Valentine, eye rakes JYD, and then fucking makes him fall, and then covers him with his feet on the ropes. This is very similar to the Florida State Championship match between Chess Bar and Mike Graham from Starrcade '84, but was way better. I don't
Yes.
know why, but this is better. Just better for some
Mhm.
reason. After the match, so Greg wins. After the match, Tito Santana comes out. He complains to the ref. He's like, dude, who are like, you got like, yo, he fucking put out his feet on the rope. The ref restarts the match. Greg the Hammer Valentine's not going to go into the ring. The ref counts him out. JYD technically wins, but doesn't get the belt. The crowd loved this shit. What did you think? You're right.
Um, yeah, it was kind of dopey that Tito Santana gets the match restarted and then they just stand there and watch Greg just leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't like, but I will say this: like people always, this is another guy. People like to say he's not a good worker, Junkyard Dog. Everyone likes to say he's not a good worker, right? Everybody always likes to say that. The crowd was on the edge of their seat, and they were with him for every move. They were with every move. So my point to you is, how can you say this guy is a bad worker? How can you say he's horrible when literally, if he fucking like throws a punch, the crowd is like fucking going bananas. To me, he has the crowd the palm of his hands, and I know a lot of it is also Greg Valentine working with him, but you have fucking guys nowadays who do like 97,000 flips and no one gives a fuck. And this guy is like fucking doing headbutts on his hands and knees, and the crowd is like going ballistic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like again, like I don't like I don't know. Like there were Chris Benoit matches where people would fall asleep at, but I don't know. It's just like I like this match a lot. I just thought the ending was kind of stupid. It would have been better if like they fucking threw Greg Valentine back in the ring and then Jimmy Hart hit him with the fucking megaphone and then they run out. You know what I mean?
Do you think Mike Graham watched this and was like, they stole that from us?
I guarantee Mike Graham was like, oh, I'm such a better worker than Junkyard Dog. But yeah, I liked the match a lot, and it was fun to see Junkyard Dog again. He was
When did he ever draw?
dude. He when I was a kid, when I was like a little kid, my two favorites were him and Hogan, and there's something about him that's very likable, and but they constantly like discredit him, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up, you
When
know?
I was a kid, my favorites were JYD, Snuka, and fucking Coco Beware.
I like Snuka too, but I didn't see him enough. Like he went away. He goes away shortly
Yeah, he
after
goes away a
this.
lot. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I remember vividly having a Snuka shirt and a Snuka doll, like the
yeah,
rubber, like the
yeah,
heart.
and like I don't know. I don't know. I would have. I guess from what I heard, around 1988, Junkyard Dog just starts going ballistic with the drugs, and it wasn't worth pushing him even if they wanted to. So, but here he's fucking great, and I think he could have. Again, that's another guy. I think the Ricky Steamboat and Junkyard Dog are the two other options if Hogan is like, no, brother, I'm not coming over. To be like the face of the company. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, I
they
really, I
definitely had
really
a
enjoyed.
lot of fucking stars on this fucking show.
I really enjoyed this match, and big thumbs up to JYD.
Yeah. So Mean Gene is now interviewing the contenders for the next match. It is Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik with Freddie Blassie. Really funny part where when Gene goes to talk, he talks to Sheik first, then Blassie, and when he goes to Volkov, he goes, and comrade, I'm so sorry, right?
Yeah,
The way his plan, but the way he stole it, it legit looked like an accident, where like a Freudian slip. He goes like, I'm sorry, and he's like oh shit, like trying to get his composure back. Great, it was fucking great. The
hmm
way I just love that. Then we get, then he interviews Captain Lou and Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham.
hmm
Uh, Now I read some stuff while I was watching this. Supposedly, Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham they were supposed to be at Starrcade '84,
hmm
and they were signed. They left to go work with WB starting in October, so it was like a
hmm
month before. And I think where they were from, they were feuding with the Zamboni Express,
Oh, okay.
and that's why Zamboni Express on Starrcade they wrestled like that fucking Fat Assassin and fucking Buzz Tyler. It's like out of nowhere. It was like a
Just
random
two
tag.
random guys. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's why that happened. But anyway, there's a U.S. Express. That's what these guys are sometimes referred to. Not here though. We go to match number 6. Um, they got it's the what do you call it? Before, by the way, the U.S. Express, they're the champions, right?
And yeah,
So,
and then so just so you know, in the original airing, they come out to Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen.
mm.
Mhm.
So before the match begins, Volkov is singing the national the Russian national anthem, the USSR, Soviet Union national anthem. This shit was fucking such a heat magnet. People are throwing garbage into the ring, and Iron Sheik's like Russia number, USSR, Soviet number, Russia one, Iran number one, America two, and people are just fucking livid. They fucking hate foreigners. When the U.S. Express comes out, when the music hits, huge. They just love Americans, bro. Finish of the match comes when Freddie Blassie, when what do you call it? When the Sheik takes the cane and hits Wyndham in the back of the head, and we got your new tag team champions. What did you think of this match, or everything?
A few thoughts. Number one, I was like, holy shit, this is the only time Barry Windham looked young, because once like he gets to like 87, he looks like a 40. He looks like he's 47 and like runs a lumber yard for the rest of his fucking life. Here he looked like a young college kid who's like ready to take on the world. I don't know what drug he did in 1986 that made him look like that starting in 87, but he looked like $1,000,000. Rotunda looked like $1,000,000. And those are and Iron Sheik is the only guy I know who has a belly and abs somehow all at once. Like his fucking body is so weird. But I gotta tell you, this match was pretty good, and Iron Sheik was moving pretty well. I mean,
Iron Sheik has that roid belly. You
what?
know,
Yeah,
roid.
yeah. But Iron Sheik was
You know
moving
who
pretty
has that
well.
now? EC3. EC3 has bad.
Yeah, and I met Sheik and Volkov, both nice guys. But I think it was the right move, to have like because you had one bad guy win this match, and because you kind of knew we're gonna give everyone what they want the next 3 matches, so to have a bad guy win here, and it sets up the pretty boys. 'Cause I think they were being marketed as the WWE's pretty boys, those two, until they both one became the fucking tax guy and the other guy became fucking old man. It was a good
They're
way
the
to give
Jurassic
heat.
Hook.
I'm sorry, and set up rematches. Set up rematches. It was good. It was a good match. It was short and to the point. It was good.
Dude, the crowd was super into it, and
Yeah.
it was like I don't know, everybody
The
looked good.
crowd's never into Barry Windham as much as they are into him this match. There's usually everyone goes on how great a worker Barry Windham was. He's another guy whose matches got fucking silence for like the next fucking 20 years after this. But here, the crowd loved him and Mike Rotunda.
I'm watching this, and I'm like, when I read that they were pulled from an NWA,
Mhm.
I'm like, looking at these two guys, I'm like, damn straight he pulled these two guys from there. I'm like, they wouldn't have fit in with Starrcade. Like
Well,
everybody
yeah,
that
but
he's everybody he like cherry picks from the NWA like makes sense.
yeah. But what's so funny because Barry Windham goes, and when I think of NWA, I think of Barry Windham. I think of just
Yes.
like this average. But here, he looked like a superstar, and I think if he stuck with Vince, if he stuck with Vince and he stayed in shape, I think Vince would
That was
eventually get
one thing
the
Barry
push he
Windham
needed
always
Bret
had a
Hart.
problem is he always had like black,
Yeah, but I'm
you
saying
know.
if he stayed looking like this and stayed with Vince, didn't go back and forth, I think he would have got the push that Bret Hart eventually got. Barry Windham.
Possible, yeah.
He's a Texas boy. His dad's one of the Blackjacks. I mean, he's kind of like everything that Vince
Well,
wanted that he got in The Rock.
no, I don't know because Bret Hart's face didn't age that bad. This guy's did.
Well, I'm saying that if he taking care of himself, well, obviously you don't see a crystal ball, but I could see Vince thinking like this guy could be the guy like down the road, and he wasn't the guy. He was the guy who passed out at the bar, but
Yeah. So Mean
he's
Gene's in
Uncle
the back.
Howdy. Remember when I had that fight?
Yeah, he's Uncle Howdy, guys.
He's Uncle
Mean
Howdy.
Gene's in the back. He's interviewing a new tag team champions. There's this funny moment where Iron Sheik goes, "You know, Gene Mean." I don't know. Do you think he did that on purpose or he did it by
Yeah, yeah,
accident?
yeah.
Wait, he did it on purpose or accident?
I think he did it on purpose.
Oh, it's so funny. Gene me. All right, Mean Gene. And after that, he interviews Big John Studd and Bobby Heenan, and basically it's a $15,000 body slam challenge. And they're like, "I'm going to prove." Like he was like, "I wanted." They explained it so perfectly. Basically, this is the point. Big John, Andre the Giant is the giant of this territory.
Yes.
And Big John Studd comes in and goes, "There's a new giant in town. And there's only room for one giant here. So I want you to leave. So what I'm gonna do is Andre the Giant, I wanna make a challenge that if I can body slam you, you have to fucking leave." But
Mhm.
Andre's not taking this challenge. So he goes, "All right, how about this, Andre? $15,000 will give you if you can body slam me, so you can entice him to fucking take this match."
Yeah.
And that's how confident they are in beating him. Perfect. And Mean Gene sells this fucking money. He sees it and he goes, "Oh, 15," and he wants to try to touch it and shit. I fucking love Mean Gene, dude. I miss that guy. I really do. It was
And
fantastic.
Bobby Heenan was great in this moment too. It's so funny because this is the only time you see Bobby Heenan the whole show.
Yeah. So match number 7, the $15,000 body slam challenge. Big John Studd versus Andre the Giant. Andre wins. He body slams Big John Studd. He grabs the money in a little duffel bag, opens it, throws some of the money, but then Bobby Heenan comes and steals the money back. And then after the match, Gene talks to Andre. A decent promo. Some of it's garbled, but it's fine. What did you think of this match?
Well, here's a fact I don't know if you knew. Andre wasn't supposed to do that with the money, and that's why Bobby Heenan grabbed the duffel bag like that. He was just supposed to wave the duffel bag around and leave. And when he
Uh-huh.
started throwing money, they screamed at Bobby, "Get the bag back from him," because he wasn't
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
throw.
That's like that's SD Jones's way.
That's it. Yeah, get the money back. So, the match was fine. Again, the crowd loved Andre. Andre is
Andre
just
was really over too. He also got an entrance, and people love him.
yeah. And like Andre could barely move even here, and he's still though like again guys like Andre and Junkyard Dog. It's just they have so much charisma that they don't have to do much, and they have a good match. And to me, that's like okay, it's gonna sound like Junkyard Dog did nothing and was more over than like Chuck Taylor, who does fucking 9,000 things. So
Mhm.
in my mind, you think like, what did he do right that I'm not doing? Whether you're Chuck Taylor, whether you're fucking Angelico, a lot of these guys. You know what I'm saying? What did
Mhm.
he do right? Because I'm not doing that. And I think those are lessons you can learn from Andre and Junkyard Dog if you're a guy nowadays.
You
Because
could
they were
also have a
clearly doing
longer.
something right.
You could also have a longer career like that too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, instead fucking they're gonna instead fucking they're gonna have Nick Gage throw them through 9,000 light cubes and people are
know,
gonna
when
jerk off
when I
to it.
saw this matchup, Big John Studd really wasn't as big as on.
No, no. But also
So supposedly these guys
Andre
didn't
wore lifts to make himself a little bit taller.
what
Andre wore lifts
in this match.
all the time.
Really? Oh,
Just to make him just a little bit taller. So
so
but
these
and
guys
also
didn't
he
like.
really didn't he hated Big John Studd. He did not like him
Yeah. Do you know why?
because he only wanted to be the only giant.
This guy wasn't that big.
Doesn't matter. He wanted to be. If Vince is marketing Big John, I mean, I know Big John Studd. When I was since I kid, I've known him. He's big. He's the other giant, and Andre didn't want that. Only one giant, me.
So what about King Kong Bundy? He didn't like
He didn't
King
like
Kong
King
Bundy.
Kong Bundy either.
Really?
Yeah, he liked
Oh,
Bret Hart. He liked Tito Santana.
he liked the small guys,
Yeah, he liked
but he was
Hogan.
like, "I don't like Eggman."
I don't like. Yeah, he didn't
Eggman.
like. Who's the other big guy he didn't like? I forget. There was another big guy. He hated Bam Bam Bigelow. He chased Bam Bigelow out of the company.
Really? He did.
Hmm.
What
He only
about who?
wanted to be one giant, one big guy. It was him.
Wow.
I'm the big guy, and Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, and all these other fucking guys bounce around for me, and they're great. You ever see Bret Hart's match with Andre? It's pretty fucking good.
No, I'm gonna have to watch that. I'm trying
It's,
to
it's, it,
think of
It's in
Who else was
Italy, and
around?
Andre asked for it, and it's a really good match, like those two. And this is like 1989. Andre couldn't even like function.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Bret Hart still gets a good match out of him.
Bret Hart's so
But
good.
yeah,
I
no,
love Bret
this was good. This becomes like a legendary WrestleMania moment. It's funny when Vince was on the outs with Hogan and Piper, and him and he never like fucking he never talked to Wendy Richter again. They always show this fucking match. This was like the match that they would show. They would show highlights of WrestleMania 1. So it's a pretty famous match, but it's fun.
Yeah. So we get Lord Alfred Hayes. He's doing interviews, and Moolah and Kai as they're walking by, and they both give him a kiss. Moolah leaves a big ass fucking lipstick stain all over him.
Mhm.
Um, Mean Gene's in the back. He's talking to Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter, who's got like a really. I didn't realize how much of a southern draw she
Yeah.
had. Then he interviews Moolah and Leilani Kai. You didn't watch Dark Side of the Ring, right? Where Dark Side of the Ring,
No, I didn't
Leilani
watch that one.
Kai. What? Yeah,
I didn't watch the Leilani Kai Dark Side.
okay. The one where they talk about Moolah, Leilani Kai is one of the people who's interviewed on about
Mhm.
Moolah. She is so bitter. Leilani Kai now is like a
Well, I think both
very
women. I think both women should be fucking bitter as fuck, and we'll get into that when we finish this match.
yeah.
This story.
She's very like she is a very unpleasant woman, Leilani Kai. Like she's cursing and she's just like like her dog's barking and she's like, shut the fuck up. Like she's like a very unpleasant woman. Anyways, oh actually I take it back. This is the worst match.
Okay.
Not the Davis Artina man. This is the worst match of the time. This is the match number 8 is for the ladies championship. Leilani Kai the champion with Moolah versus Wendy Richter and who's with Cyndi Lauper. Basically, there is a cross body by Leilani Kai, and Wendy Richter does the shittiest float over I've ever seen in a match filled with just hair pulling, just garbage match. Um, so Wendy Richter wins, and then fucking Moolah takes a fucking pratfall in the ring, and everybody's celebrating.
I think they fucked up the finish. I think Moolah was supposed to interfere, and Cyndi Lauper was supposed to stop it, and then Wendy Richter wins. And I think they mistimed it. So I don't know if you noticed, but like Moolah's just standing there when Leilani jumps, and then suddenly after the pins, Cyndi Lauper runs over and starts hitting Moolah. Did you notice that? The timing
No,
was off.
yeah, I
Everyone had
saw
the
her
timing
come
off
over and
deeply.
hit her and stuff because Moolah was on the apron. But man, I tell you something. So in the dark side of the ring, one of the things they talk about is that Mildred Burke,
Mhm.
she was actually a really good wrestler in America. But when she got divorced, she left and started wrestling in Japan and started training all the women in Japan how to wrestle. And that is why in Japan, the women wrestle the way they do, that hard hitting
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
While Moolah took control of all the women's wrestling in America and she specialized in cat fighting,
Mhm.
the hair pulling and the rolling around. And this match was basically that. And I
Yeah.
hate that fucking style of wrestling.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. But I'll tell you why these two women should be fucking bitter is that people want to talk about the women's revolution. Vince put this match right underneath the main event. It's the final single match. So for all intents and purposes, this is like the world title match of WrestleMania 1. And the crowd loved it. I mean, they popped huge for
yeah.
Wendy Richter. And yeah, there's a lot of botches and stuff. But because Moolah was a selfish fucking fat little pig, and she fucked over Wendy Richter, and she fucked over Vince had it in his mind that you know how they have He-Man and She-Ra. There's gonna be Hulk toys in the boys aisle and Wendy Richter toys in the girls aisle. You know what I mean? And he was gonna make the men and women equal from the '80s on. But fucking Fat Moolah stood in his way. He had to pay tribute to her, and she kept the women down for another, like, I would say 15 years until Lita and Trish Stratus show up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I mean, yeah, they should be bitter because Leilani Kai and Wendy Richter, there could have been a women's revolution back then. You could have had like that main eventing in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Like they could have been right underneath, and because of the games and the bullshit, they weren't. I mean, you could argue people are popping for Cyndi Lauper. I think people were into Wendy Richter. So yeah, these women have every right to be fucking bitter. Vince
I
was
agree.
pushing these women as like on top of all the guys. He's pushing these two broads.
I agree with almost everything except for the fact that I don't know if they were really popping for Wendy Richter because I'll be honest with you, neither of those women were good.
I know, but for some reason they liked Wendy Richter. I thought they
She was
popped
with because she was with Cyndi Lauper, I
I
think.
know. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I think. Well, you know what? He probably should have kept. Probably should have told Moolah to go fuck herself and put Cyndi Lauper in charge of the division.
yeah. So
But
Gene,
but
yep.
at the end of the day, I think Moolah really fucked these women over, and Vince, Vince is a patient man. I think Vince, people always say like, oh, we have, Sasha and Charlotte changed his mind. No, he was always going to have the women on equal footing with the men. It just took a while. He just had to find the right people.
Yeah. So Mean Gene's talking to Wendy Richter, who's now the champion, and Cyndi Lauper after the match. Cyndi Lauper's got all this fucking lipstick on her teeth.
I know
And
that was weird.
yeah, she's got this fucking like thick New York accent. She's like, Leilani Cow.
Mhm.
Like, that was so funny. She's like, Cloud, whatever your name is, Cow. Call her a cow. That shit was funny. Cyndi Lauper, she
Well,
had a
Cyndi
lot
Lauper
of
said that
charisma.
like, but that's like I don't know if you know, ever notice Madonna like now talks in a British accent
Yeah,
because her and they had both thick New York accents, but Cyndi Lauper would just not give it up while everyone else is like trying to change their voice and shit.
yeah.
That's why Cyndi Lauper feels like she didn't go anywhere. They really need to put Cyndi Lauper in the Hall of Fame. They really need to.
Yeah. So Mr. T is in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why Cyndi Lauper is not in the Hall of Fame. And Lance Storm said this a while ago that both Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper should not
Be-
be in the celebrity wing, but should be in just the general Hall of
yes,
Fame. And here's the
yes.
thing.
Because Vince does not want to admit that if it wasn't for Cyndi Lauper and Mr. T, he wouldn't have
There
gotten the
would
buy
be
rate.
no WrestleMania one.
They sold it, yes. And there's no shame that you use them to get what you wanted. He wants you to think people were like so fucking, and I'm sure people were. People were so into Big John Studd versus Andre Giant, like millions of people. No, people were like, oh shit, Cyndi Lauper. And it was smart. Have Cyndi Lauper, Muhammad Ali, Liberace, Mr. T. Those are the people that got everyone in. Now, people stayed because you put on a good show, but dude, just give Cyndi Lauper the fucking credit. Because without her, you're not where you are.
Yeah. So Cyndi Lauper is not in the Hall of Fame, and Mr. T is actually in the Celebrity
Mm-hmm.
Hall of Fame. Um, do you think Cyndi Lauper is the one who's saying no to it, or do you
No,
think
I
they
just I think they don't want to give her credit. I
that's
think
so
they're
ridiculous?
almost annoyed. I think they're annoyed because it's not like I think if she had become like Madonna or fucking Michael Jackson, they would be more all about it. But because like she's kind of like an '80s relic, like she's not like a huge name now. You know what I mean? They're almost embarrassed that they had to piggyback off her, and they don't
You
want
know
to.
who you know who embraces Cyndi Lauper?
They,
The Rock. As you can
I
see
know, I
her,
know.
played by Becky
Maybe
Lynch on
I'm
Young Rock,
thinking maybe
only on
now that
NBC's and Peacock on Friday night, 8 p.m.
maybe that's what that's a good point. I forgot about that. Maybe now with Cindy Lauper being in Young Rock, they're gonna put her in the Hall of Fame this year.
They should, yeah, they
It's in
should.
Hollywood, perfect
Yeah,
place to put her in. I mean, she's a New York girl, but I
yeah.
mean if you put her and The Rock in and a couple other people. But you know who else should be in it? Lex Luger. Lex Luger should be in the fucking Hall of Fame. And you know who else should
Oh
be
no,
in
no,
King
no,
Kong
no,
Bundy?
no. He's in a wheelchair. They don't want to roll that fucking thing out.
Yeah, no, they don't want
That
to
was
they don't
bad
want to have
optic.
Cyndi Lauper and fucking Lex Luger on stage. Oh no. Instead they'll probably put in Seth Rollins.
They'll put in like I'm trying to think of. They'll put in one of the Diva Search winners. What was her name?
They'll put in Chrissy Hemme.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Dude,
they'll
that
put in Mickey
okay,
James because she just did the last rodeo.
guys. That's not a real Hall of Fame. That's what I always say.
Well, it's not a real Hall of Fame if you don't put Cyndi Lauper in.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of
Look,
the.
you got to give credit where credit is due. You have to give credit where credit is due. Cyndi Lauper didn't use her clout. We wouldn't be here today. It's just the way it is.
There
I'm
would be no
sorry. I'm
WrestleMania
sorry.
if it wasn't for Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper. There will be no WrestleMania. Here's the thing too. Stop complaining about how you don't like it when celebrities are involved. The whole premise of WrestleMania started with because there were celebrities involved. If there wasn't celebrities involved, it would just be another wrestling card. So
Or
stop
maybe, or who
complaining.
knows if it would still be going on.
Yeah, so stop complaining when a fucking Bad Bunny or a fucking what's his name, Jake Paul or whatever the fuck gets involved.
Logan
That's the
Paul.
whole point. That's the whole point of fucking WrestleMania, you fucking idiot. All right, time for the main event. We got Billy Martin, who is the a famous manager of the New York Yankees. He's the guest ring announcer, and he introduces Liberace, who's going to be the timekeeper. He comes with some Rockettes, and he does like the leg dance with the Rockettes, right? And you know what? This thing gets over. It's just like it's just doing the leg dance with the Rockettes, but people love it. And
Liberace back then was a huge star. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like you're getting people like Liberace, the Rockettes. These people are not associated with wrestling. You know what I mean?
yes,
Liberace's like kind of classy. He's kind of like a classy classical musician, and Billy Martin's like a huge name in the New York market. So like it's like kind of like he got like really classy. And Muhammad Ali is just a fucking. I mean, they start chanting.
I mean,
They start chanting for him.
yeah.
Ali.
And they also bring in Muhammad Ali, who's the referee, but he's going to be the outside referee. And
Yeah.
Pat Patterson is actually the actual referee.
Mhm.
And yeah, so these are all like, it's funny we're talking about this because we just watched AEW that was in Los Angeles. And you know what? It was kind of cool that they did have all these stars out. Like, Ken
They looked out.
John.
That one guy won the Golden Globe.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
one guy, what's his fucking name? It's like,
House or something. I don't know. I never heard of him before.
he was in a couple of things. He was in the I, Tonya movie where he played the fat bodyguard. And
Mhm.
he was in that movie, Richard Jewell, about the guy
Yeah,
who,
doesn't he play Richard Jewell?
yeah, and he got like a really good review from that. That was like one of Clint Eastwood's last movies. Is Clint Eastwood dead?
No, he's not dead.
Oh shit.
He's never
Okay.
gonna die.
He's never.
He's like Sting. He keeps fucking jumping off roofs.
Oh yeah. So anyway, yeah, this guy, and you know what? Like this guy who won the Golden Globe recently. So it's like AEW had like a pretty banger week with this shit
Yeah.
too. You know.
Mhm.
Richard Jewell. Let me see who's the actor who played Richard Jewell. Let me get his name. Paul Walter Hauser or Hausen, as you want to say.
Yes, and he won for an Apple Plus. I don't have Apple Plus, and
That guy, um he gave a pretty decent promo on Rampage. It took a nice
yeah.
bump
Then he
too.
got
Yeah.
then he got the guitar because you have to have Jeff Jarrett in with the guitar.
Yeah. So you have the main event. We got Piper. By the way, Piper gets a full Scottish pipe
Yeah.
band intro. I loved it. That was fucking great. I loved it. I love this T-shirt too. I love that fucking like Black Panther face, and it just says Hot Rod in the back. I love that shirt. That's a great shirt. So Piper and Paul Orndorf with Cowboy Bob Orton versus Hulk Hogan and Mr. T with Jimmy Snuka.
Mhm.
Before the match begins, Paul Orndorff grabs this janitor's broom and he fucking snaps it over his fucking knees. That was fucking dope. He like psyching them out. I fucking loved it. Here's the thing when I was watching this match. During this match, everybody is in the ring multiple times. Multiple times everybody's in the ring at the same time. I never want to hear fucking Jim Ross complain about that shit ever again.
Well, they had to do that to hide the fact that Mr. T can't do much. So
if you can allow it here, you can allow it at any other fucking tag team match. I don't want to fucking hear who's the 10 count, referees playing. They were everybody was in the fucking ring at the same time multiple times. All right, It doesn't fucking matter. This whole thing is fake. Stop complaining about a rule that gets breaking multiple times in other places. There's basically what happens is I love the finish of this match too. By the way, I love it. So like I said, the reason why they needed Muhammad Ali is because they knew it was going to be chaotic. These guys were always going to be in the ring. Oh, multiple times you had to fucking watch Cowboy Orton and Paul, what do you call it? And Pat Patterson couldn't do everything at once. So you had fucking Muhammad Ali trying to control that shit was going on outside. What happens is Bob Orton gets up on the apron, and this kind of allows this makes Jimmy Snuka kind of rush in to kind of stop Bob Orton. So Pat Patterson gets distracted because he's like, Jimmy, what the fuck are you doing? Get back out, get back out. While this is happening, Orton uses this distraction to fucking get up on the top rope, and he's got a cast on. And Paul Orndorf has got like Hogan in like a full Nelson, and he's like hit him on the head. And when fucking Orton jumps off, Hogan turns at the last moment. He fucking hits him on the back of the head with the cast. Orton is knocked out. Hogan pins him, and that's the fucking match. It's over. Crowd's going crazy. This entire match. People are fucking going crazy. I really felt it. And then afterwards, Roddy Piper is so fucking pissed off.
He just leaves Orndorf in the ring.
He knocks out the referee. You see him talking shit to a fucking knocked out Paul Orndorf. He knocks out the referee and he fucking leaves. Orndorf wakes up and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then he fucking leaves. And then Mean Gene talks to the winners at the end of this. What did you think about this main event? What's about everything?
This is my favorite match tonight because it's such a spectacle. It's a home run. I mean, Hogan has his working boots on. You know, they have someone there who's not known as a wrestler, but he did a pretty good job. It's a home run. I mean, there's a reason why I have a Mr. T figure. I bought it at the Ringside Fest Christmas sale because this match just kind of stood the test of time. It was the best main event they could hope for. It gave everyone what they wanted, and it sent the fans home happy, and it made you excited. Like, wow, I want to see next year. How are they going to top this next year? Where Starrcade '84 made you be like, why did I waste 3 hours of my life?
Yo, Mr. T could wrestle. He did a fucking hip toss and everything. It didn't look bad. You know,
no, Mr. T did pretty good. Yeah, and at the time he was the A Team. We talk about like hit TV shows like The House of the Dragon or Wednesday or She-Hulk. No. This guy was the A Team when the show was big back in the day, whether it was A Team or Golden Girls. We're talking like 58, 69 million people a week watching it. You know what I mean? He was a huge star. So for him to do this and then do it well was such a home run for them. And I love this match.
Such a popular show. I loved 18.
It was a great match, great main event, and everything went off without a hitch. And again, watching all this stuff back to back is very interesting for me and you, I think, because WWE Vince likes to make up their own myths, but I feel like the territory guys like to make up their own myths too. Like they like to be like Vince was won through subterfuge and cheating and scamming. No. He put on a good show. And he marketed the guys better than you knew how to market them. So it is what it is.
It's not poaching if you fucking offered him a better deal. Why just pay him better?
And also, you make action figures that I still have my Hogan figure right there. I have a Nikolai Volkov figure in the original one from the '80s. I still have it here in the house. Like the figures were good, and that's the thing. And these guys are making serious fucking money on that. And that's not a dirty tactic. Saying to Iron Sheik, I'll give you a fucking T-shirt and an action figure and a fucking wrestling buddy and all this shit, and you're gonna make $90,000 a quarter on it. That's not being weird. That's like being smart, and they didn't do any of that. Where were the NWA figures? Where were the NWA T-shirts? They don't have any.
The wrestlers didn't take it. They're the fucking idiots, really.
Yeah. So fucking. I don't know. I the more I'm watching stuff, I don't feel bad for the NWA. Like you got.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm running. I wish we could argue more because I know it's more entertaining, but I have to agree with you. The more I watch this, I'm like,
no, we're eventually gonna get to disagreements. I feel.
Yeah,
but right now, I kind of thought you might not have liked WrestleMania 1, and I love it, but we're gonna get disagreements. But what is there to disagree about? This was everything Vince McMahon needed it to be.
there's no way you could not enjoy WrestleMania 1 after you watch the first two Starrcades. It's
Yeah,
like
I can see like if you haven't watched wrestling in a while, you just put on WrestleMania when you're like, "Whoa, what is this? This isn't like where's Austin?" You know, but it
this
was
is
good.
like it was like when like in the Wizard of Oz, it went from black and white to like fucking color. It was like totally different, you know.
And
Uh,
we're going to continue to see if Vince has his streak because next week we're doing the Wrestling Classic from November of '85. On that one, well, there's a tournament. There's the Wrestling Classic tournament, um, and also Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper. Now, Andrew Lee, give you a warning. I haven't seen this as a kid, but as a kid, I remember being very underwhelmed by this show, and which is odd because like there's matches in the show like Dynamite Kid versus Macho Man Randy Savage, and somehow it wasn't very good. That's what I remember as a kid. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see.
I'm interested. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I don't think I've
that's a
ever
match,
seen it.
Macho Man versus Dynamite Kid, which even now I'm
Wrestling
like, what?
Wrestling Classic.
Yeah, it's the Wrestling Classic. Yeah, it's from November '85. And then, so that's next week, guys. In 2 weeks, we have Starrcade '85, Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes 2. Then in
Ugh.
3 weeks, we have WrestleMania 2 with Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. And then a month from now, we have Starrcade '86, Nikolai Volkov. No, sorry, that would have been a better match. Nikita Koloff versus Ric Flair. What are you looking forward to, Russ? Which one are you looking forward to?
Actually, the next one because I want to see the crazy match. I don't think I've ever seen Wrestling Classic at all.
Yeah, I
So
only watched
I'm
it once, and I remember like I remember being like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and it was like I don't know what I was like, "What the fuck is this?" So I think there's a reason why he never did another wrestling classic because I don't know if it's gonna be as good as WrestleMania 1, but we'll find out next week, guys. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow me, Ray Goots, on TikTok and Ray Goots Comedy on TikTok, Ray Goots on Instagram and Twitter, and promote the podcast because we're talking about old school wrestling. And I think this is a pretty good fucking show. You enjoy doing this, Andrew Lee, bro?
yeah. Let's see if there's anything you guys want us to talk about. Let us know too.
I mean, we're going to talk about these shows, but yeah, whatever. Oh, come on, Matilda, calm down. Matilda's excited about
I
all the
love her.
wrestling.
I love her.
She's very excited about all the wrestling. All right, guys,
So cute.
we'll see you next week with the Wrestling Classic.